What's poppin', everybody? I'm Sal.
Tiffany, is that it? That's our new opening?
It's just today's opening because it's a special day. It's Sunday. It's a day before our normal show time. And that's because tomorrow is a holiday in the United States where we're broadcasting from. Also, we are celebrating a birthday, which we didn't really get a chance to talk about on the actual birthday, but we're celebrating it tomorrow.
Yes, we are.
So, yeah, that's right. One of our intrepid own members of the channel, Ben, had a birthday last week, and so we're going to be celebrating it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited about that. You really outdid yourself in terms of planning and coordination, finagling, all that stuff.
We'll see. I sent him a text with a final couple of options.
Yeah, some final confirmation.
Okay.
Okay. And normally,
I'm planning right now, guys.
This show is sponsored by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, you can sponsor today's show by using Super Chats. Ask a question or comment, and we'll read it here on the show, and you'll be part of the show forever. If you're listening to the show, you're probably catching it on Spotify or Apple Music or Apple Podcasts or wherever the hell this stuff is found. If you do have a second, give us a like on YouTube or give us a good review on Apple Podcasts. Counterbalance those like 3 or 4 that like really don't like us. But I really couldn't care less. I'd never check those unless I like am feeling like some brand management, because it's really just me making sure it's all going okay. But yeah, we also want to mention this show is about comic books. So while we are going to be reviewing Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, we are going to provide a non-spoiler review for those of you who haven't seen it yet. And then we're going to get into the spoilers and nitty-gritty. But we're also going to talk about comics because it's a comic book review show.
Right. When are we going to do that?
We're going to do that now. We're going to talk about comic books, I think. And then we'll get into the movie.
All right. Give everybody a chance to settle. Get in there.
Exactly.
We're going to get comfy.
Yeah.
Get yourself a drink.
Exactly.
Hydrate.
Right? So let's jump into some books.
There were some books, and I managed to read a few books. I definitely did not get a chance to read Wolverine, so don't spoil that, guys.
No, it's a real shame we didn't get a chance to do that one. We didn't have a lot of time.
No.
Brian Rollins really quick says, some Sunday night off the rack. Let's go. ComicPop rules. Thanks,
That's
Brian.
Right. And then after this, I have to go bake a cake.
That's right. You got to bake a whole damn cake.
It's not a whole damn cake. It's a very specific cake.
Yes, and it's actually like pretty straightforward.
It is. I've done it a few times.
Yeah. You have some experience with this cake. Ali Elziadi, hi. Hope you're doing well. Hope you are too, man. Thanks. I don't know about you, but to me, it feels like Scott didn't have much to do for most of the movie. We'll talk about that.
We will definitely be getting into that.
Exactly. And I think that's it.
Okay.
So yeah, let's talk about some books.
Let's just rapid fire through some books.
All right, sounds good. I read Spider-Man #5 because I hate myself, and yeah, it's written by Dan Slott with art by Mark Bagley. This is like a little like, let's take a minute and focus on, Spider-Man got stabbed and by like a magic blade, and so he's not like in the web of life anymore, and what that meant was, and I love Dan Slott just doing whatever the hell he wants. And when I say I love, I mean I don't. But he loves to do this, where he's like, I'm kind of a big deal at Marvel. Like, I've earned my stripes at this point, so I'm gonna like make some declarations here. Okay. And in one of these is just like because in his own self-contained event that even the main Spider-Man books don't acknowledge, he got stabbed by a magic dagger, and so as a result, he's not part of the Marvel universe anymore.
Right.
So if you actually, and it's completely changed Marvel continuity, because they show you in the Marvel 616 universe, Peter never became Spider-Man, and instead Silk became the main Spider person of that universe.
Okay.
I think it's funny. Because of course Dan Slott created Silk, and he's very proud of himself for it. And so
he's not gonna use Miles.
No, he didn't make Miles. So yeah, it's just a little like cracked mirror, alternate reality, what if kind of thing, but it's happening in the main reality. What? So yeah, it's just a little like, what if Peter didn't become Spider-Man?
Right.
We've seen that a million times. Let's see it one more time.
Yep.
Let's see it 1,000,001 times. It's fun. A lot of talking. And when I say a lot of talking, a lot of words, and it's a book. I like reading. I like when words are, well constructed and they really work well. This was like, I get it. Like a lot of the book was, yeah, I get it. Like, you don't need to explain the context. No one's reading Spider-Man #5. I don't know who Spider-Man is.
Right.
And I don't think we need another like crash course in, does Dan Slott remember what Stan wrote? I think we get it. but he's really over explaining himself, and it's like, all right, you know, whatever. But it was like a fun little like trip down this like alternate history lane. It's just, you know, the audacity of it being like, no, this is the if the X-Men people can die and come back and Moira it up, then Spider-Man can get stabbed by a magic dagger, change all of continuity, and at the end of my event we'll put it back. But like in the meantime, for a period of time, in real reality, Spider-Man didn't exist. And it's just like, all right.
Yeah, like, except like no one is reading this or necessarily considering it.
That's right. Which is funny because, like, you know,
continuity, I guess.
Well, DC, they're like, look, you don't like Batman? I got 4 other Batman books for you. Spider-Man, not so much. Yeah. You don't like what's going on in Amazing Spider-Man? Well, look, DeMatteis is writing Ben Reilly book. No, actually, that's about Peter. But Ben Reilly is the main Spider-Man in that book. It's a flashback book.
Right.
So it's like, look, you can read that. You can read the DeMatteis miniseries about Kraven. And it's not really about Kraven, by the way. But yeah, and you know, it's if you're looking for like a kind of like memory lane, what if kind of issue, Spider-Man number 5 wasn't wasn't the worst thing I've ever read by Dan Slott, certainly, and it was actually kind of like a little fun, you know. But there's a lot of like meta reading that was going on. Anyway, yeah.
I see something on here I 100% didn't read, and I'm really mad at myself.
Was it Nightcrawlers?
Yeah, because like in my head, I was like, I remember saying we were going to do this show. I remember like you and I talking about this, and I suggested we do it today on Sunday. Yeah. And then I literally was like, we're not doing the show. Right. I can wait.
Yeah, exactly.
I can focus. And then I was like, oh no, I volunteered.
No, I know.
But I did read things. It just
you did.
I read the stuff that I normally would like gravitate to. Yeah. I mean, I gravitate towards these things. I want to read X-Men, but I was like, I gotta literally grab.
Well, you
I read 2 indies and a DC book plus X-Men.
Oh, okay.
Like 1 X-Men book. Like that's what I read this week because that's what I started reading a trade I picked up.
Yes, that's true. Really quick, Jim Zub, Ray Fawkes, Luca Pizzari. I read the penultimate chapter of Murder World. This one was Murder World Moon Knight.
Nice.
It's a good series. It's really fun. The characters are well-rounded. Doesn't pull any punches. I saw somebody on the internet complain. They were like, man, Marvel really likes their synergy. They want to get their Squid Game on. And I'm like, if only you listened to the Elseworlds Exchange, you would know that, like, why is Ray Fawkes' name on this book? And it's because Ray Fawkes kind of moved on, but like it's because Jim and Ray came up with this idea like 17 years ago, and they like put it in a drawer. You know, they pitched it. They put it in a drawer, and eventually, now look, did Marvel come to them and go, "You got any Squid Games?" But it was developed long before Squid Game was an actual thing,
right?
And retooled to fit in modern continuity, but it, because it fits in with the Kelly Thompson Black Widow book.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool.
Right.
Because God knows who else is going to touch on that.
Sure.
So It's just a fun book, but it's, it's about these other characters, these characters that you may probably never see again in the Marvel comics because they're probably not going to make it out of this book. But it's a lot of fun. It's a really well executed series. I hope that, when it's collected in trade, the marketing's a little better because this book is this is an under the radar book. This is a subterranean release. Like beyond stealth,
right?
This is like another phase of existence kind of release, and it's a shame because like it's a lot of fun. And you know what? Like, did you like Squid Game? You might like this, but it's not really Squid Game. It's more about like arcade. I mean, it is. It's Squid Game by way of Marvel. Okay. So, but it's fun. I dig it.
Okay. Anyway, I like that. That's great.
Right? It's fun. What about you? What'd you read?
I read Swamp Thing Green Hell #2.
Oh, I remember that book.
Yes.
I not by reading it, of course, but only by reputation.
Yes. Written Jeff Lemire with art by Doug Mank. We were waiting a while for this one, and this is book 2.
Yes,
I think of 3.
Of 3.
But 3 is supposed to be coming out
soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly decided I was not going to reread the first one. I was just going to go with it. And I honestly remembered more than I thought I was going to. So hooray.
Nice.
It's like a crazy future in which like the parliaments have had enough and they're going to kill off the rest of humanity after humanity or kind of destroy the earth. As we often see, with like trajectories and such for the like the way in which we treat our planet.
Yep. And nature
and such. But that, Swamp Thing's been gone. Like where'd he go? What's up with that? And then how John had like brought him back or like summoned him here, and Swamp Thing seemingly was living in a like bubble area, like his like his mind was there, and he was living with Abby and like their kid, and he's just living life, like whatever, cool. So he comes back and he's like, I want to go back.
Yeah.
Like
I don't want to be here.
No, I don't want to be. I don't care.
I'm done.
Yeah, like I'm done. Like I'm not your champion anymore. I'm not the Parliament's champion. I'm out of here. And John's like, yeah, about that. You can't go back.
Oh no.
Like you can, but like you're bound to here until I say you can go back.
Right. That's John.
That's John. It's 100% John. And Lemire goes out of his way to make sure that like Swamp Thing calls him a bastard. He's like, yep.
That's like my superhero name.
Yeah, that's who I am. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
So what does he do? He goes forth to try to help that town that we first were introduced to in the first issue, and
it's been a while.
Yeah. He he fights off one of the Parliament's other sort of like swamp thingy and monster. The Parliament calls him to them. They're like, excuse me.
Right.
we made an agreement.
Retired.
You left.
Yeah.
We said you could just go off and have like your respite, but like you can't come back here.
Yeah.
Like they're jerks. And he's like, yeah, but they're my jerks.
Right.
Like I can't just let you do that. And they're like, they did this to us.
Yeah.
And he's like, but there's like children that live in this town. Those children didn't do this.
Yeah. They didn't ask for this.
Like, come on. So they're like, all right, so you're all right, you can leave, and your options are to either like slough off your like body and like go back to where you were, just your consciousness essentially.
Okay.
Which is kind of how it was anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas you can never come back. Or just stay here and we're gonna kick your butt. He realizes that Abby wouldn't be cool with him doing that.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, no, she would want me to stay.
Right.
And like I think he knows that if he went back there, he'd be like living a lie, even if it's all like real or not real, whatever.
Sure.
So they're like, fine, cool, whatever. We're gonna like take your powers away, and this is your last body. You can't regenerate anymore. So now like Swamp Thing's fighting as though like
it's his last.
Yeah, he can die. So we got that going on. John has another trick up his sleeve, as is typical John action. He's like, it's not enough to do this. I'm gonna save everybody. It's gonna be fine. But the Parliaments are also joining up. So it's not just the green, the red is there. I think the black is there as well.
The rot,
so they're going to be coming together. They're raising an army of like hybrid monstery things that are fighting Swamp Thing. All the while John is gone to an island where he is looking for Animal Woman.
Oh, Animal Woman.
It's time for her to come back to help fight the red.
Okay.
I'm like, all right. So I'm interested to see. We've got one more issue of this. So I'm not, we're not going to be getting into like mega depth on this story, but I'm interested obviously to find out more about it. If you missed out on this, I do believe that they did reprint the first one, so you could pick that one up as well as the second one, and then jump into the third one if you're looking for more Swamp Thing or you like Jeff Lemire. So
March 21st is the issue, the third issue, the final issue.
So it's gonna wrap up. It's not, we're not gonna be waiting. It should be coming out. Fingers crossed on that one. So I read that. Additionally, I read a couple of independent books this week. I read Harrower.
Oh yes, the Harrower.
The Harrower. I think that came out this week, or maybe it didn't. Maybe it was in that section. I don't know what to tell you.
That was last week.
It was last week. Okay, fine.
Well, whatever.
I still read it. If you missed this, it's a boom book. It's a horror boom book.
Oh, for a change.
Listen, I like my horror books.
No complaints.
It's a town, a small sleepy town somewhere that has like a crazy sort of like, not the Sanderson sisters, but that type of like mythology within the town, where they're just like, you see this symbol, like, oh, bad stuff's coming, and it's Halloween night, and like all this crazy stuff, and like the Harrower will come get you, and like it's something that kids believe in. But then like when you get to a certain age, like adults seem to believe in it some more, and like what's going on with that? Is the Harrower real? Yes.
Well, he's on the cover, so I would hope.
But you have like a group of teenagers who don't look like teenagers, but they're all teenagers, which I'm like, that fits. It's very much that movie style kind of thing. It's got some gore going on. It's pretty, like, this first issue is tight. It moves.
Good.
There's not a lot of time in this issue. Like we just go.
Right.
And like at times it does feel a little more like a movie than it does a comic, but fun sort of book. And I think the reason I picked it up was because I was like, the Harrower. I'm like, wait, isn't that villainous who's in Deadpool right now? Nope, totally something different.
Okay.
So I read that, as well as a random Cullen Bunn book.
Justin Jordan, Brom Revel.
Yeah. So if you're looking for more horror, you can do that. I don't know when that book came out.
Yeah.
You just look up the word wall. I don't know. It's the only word I can remember from it.
Okay.
So I wouldn't worry about it. But I read a Cullen Bunn, like, oversized. I don't have it with me.
No.
I own it physically, and I don't have it with me. It's by Aftershock.
Okay.
So maybe
that'll do it.
That'll be the other reason. And we can't find it. But it was a one shot, and they did it as an oversized Black Label style book.
Oh, the Foulness in the Walls.
Yes, that's it. When did it come out? Scroll up. Is that January it came out? Oh no, it came out in November. They had it out like it was brand new.
Yeah.
The comic book store we went to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna talk about it then.
No?
No. Screw them. I read this and it was fine. That's it.
Okay.
It was not great, but it's Cullen Bunn. He's either good or he's not good, but he's a machine.
True. Yeah.
He's a machine.
Yeah.
But I had them and I really wanted to check them out because like I like the idea of other companies making oversized books like that, like that Black Label, that format.
Yeah.
It's a one shot.
Yeah.
You just grab it. It's almost like an OGN in a way.
No, look at that.
Oh no, there it is.
Yeah.
What the heck?
That's weird. Maybe that's solicited back.
Okay, it did come out. Hooray!
Yay!
Put it back up, and now we'll talk about it.
All right, fine.
This is another horror one, guys. it's a weird one too. Cullen Bunn, Rodrigo Zayas. Zayas's art kind of cool. Hadn't seen anything quite like this. Just like the other one, was really cool too. A lot of interesting coloring in this.
Yeah.
It's you're one and done. You grab this book, the whole thing. There That's it great. Is. You can just consume it and then not enter this world again. It is. It's funny. There's an element to it where I was just like, what's happening at all? Because you really need to just be able to dive into what you think is going on to the brain of your character, or the protagonist of this book. It acts a little bit like an episode of a show as well.
Okay.
Like, you know, I'm trying to think of what the name of that Netflix series was.
Oh.
It doesn't matter.
The Bly Manor?
No. But you know, it's sad and it's grotesque right at the end.
Great.
You know.
Yeah.
But
it was fine.
It was fine. It wasn't like I was like, wow. I mean, if they did a series of these, it'd be kind of neat. Like a series of just these like creepy
Silver Coin
little
or something like that.
Yeah, like stories like that. But like now that makes you wish that Silver Coin was oversized like this.
Yeah, I wish
because
it were.
that was delightful having the art book that big, you know, and just knowing that the whole story was in this. But like the artist could really play around with it. I loved. So I'd love to see more companies like, you know, Boom and Aftershock and all of them, like, or even Image, like doing series like this with like, you know, strong, interesting art big.
Right.
So.
Well, speaking of Image and DC for that matter, I didn't pick it up. I leafed through it. This was Batman Spawn Unplugged, McFarlane Capullo. This is a reissue of the only issue.
Yes.
Third chapter of these types of stories. No dialogue balloons, no word, nothing. Just the art and the inking, pencils and inks, no colors.
That's
cool.
And
it looks better. Like you were it looks better. It's really like, and it allows you to really like pour over the strongest element of the book, which is the visuals.
The art. Yeah, that's fair. That's awesome.
And I don't think anybody doesn't know that.
Yeah.
But it's if you enjoyed that issue, but you thought it was confusing and weird, and like you were like, what? Like some of us, you might want to consider checking out the Unplugged issue because it's equally confusing, but actually less because the dialogue and narration doesn't like try and tell a story. It's just a bunch of stuff. It's like a sketchbook, which is way better.
Okay.
At this point, I almost wanted to just see Todd and Greg just draw Batman and or Spawn, then actually give me a comic book about them.
All right.
But yeah, it was fine.
That's fair.
Yeah, but it was neat to see. I also read Icon versus Hardware, as I said I would, with Leon Chillis and Yasmin Flores Montanez on art, and Dennis Cowan, I believe. This was not very good, and it's a real disappointment. And when the idea of what they're executing, part teen drama, Mean Girls meets I don't know, plus Hardware and his whole thing. Like, this was just awful. And then I looked at who wrote it, and I was like, oh, Reggie Hudlin wrote it. Yeah, okay. He is not a very good writer. His dialogue was not stiff so much as it was just awful. Like repeated words, but not because that's how people talk, but maybe a misunderstanding of how people talk. Just awful. I'm sorry. And it really detracted from it. Also, there was some strengths in art and there was some not so strength in art. You know, it was inconsistent. You know, the hardware stuff was all what you would expect and feel of a hardware book. That could be just because Dennis Cowan drew some of it.
Sure.
And it's just, you know, it reminded me of the older Milestone. I don't want to strike that against it because I know that we're in a different era and it ain't like that no more. Despite the fact that I literally bought a reissue of Static #1, which is a collector's edition kind of version, but it was $10. Yikes. But okay, fine. But yeah, the teen stuff, it was trying for something and it didn't achieve it.
Okay.
I will not be getting any more of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also read X-Men #19.
Yes, I read it, but I didn't absorb it.
Okay, that's okay. This is starting off hey, let's talk about the Brood. Captain Marvel's also dealing with the Brood.
Yes.
I only read this side of it. I mean, we
don't need
saw the Brood brought up, I think, in Hox or Pox.
Yes.
So it was we knew that was coming. I mean, you're dealing with X-Men, the Brood are gonna show up, right?
Well, you'd think they would, but they rarely do now.
I know.
And so it's great that they did.
When they do, it's oh yeah, no, it makes sense. It's not like you're
well, they're an X-Men creation.
Here?
It's no, it's not weird. It's not like the Badoon are here.
You're essentially there's a call, they get a distress call from Corsair in the last issue, and so they go to find out what's going on. It's I was I gotta go save my space dad. And so he does, but Corsair has been impregnated with a brood. With a Brood, that's gonna happen when you're dealing with them. There's a little outline in there. If you're unfamiliar with the Brood, it will help you to understand why everybody says they're like alien, which is funny because
because they're ripoff.
Now Marvel has them, so that's
that's true. Yeah.
So you get a little breakdown of the different levels of Brood, the Empress, the Queen, Firstborn, all this stuff. It tells you what they do and how they reproduce and all that stuff, right? And how they came to have some peace with the King Brood, and they. Trust me, this is going to fill you in. If you don't know what's going on, it's going to fill you in enough to be okay, cool. It's not going to tell you all the history that they've had with them, but it will be all right, at least I understand the threat that the Brood pose.
Yes.
So the X team gets there and they split up, and in order to best deal with the situation, there's the Brood are attacking this location, planet, whatever, wherever they are, and there's people still there. So do
we want to not reveal what it is because
they're not there.
Oh, that's right. That's a different location.
It's a different story that's running at the same time. No, Firestar
and Iceman.
I'm Firestar, Firestorm, Firestar. And Iceman deal with damage control and try to get people out as much as possible.
Lowercase.
Yes, not the actual team. Sorry. And Firestar gets the opportunity to do one of those things that Superman has said before, where it's just I get to really cut loose.
Yes.
I gotta always watch out with my powers, but not this time. It's the Brood, because Cyclops is give them hell.
Right. Yeah. That was his directive.
They're trash and we hate them. There's nothing redeeming about them.
With extreme prejudice.
Yes. Use all the claws. Also, we've established that the second Laura's her code name is now Talon. So we have Wolverine and we have Talon. We've got Wolverine and Talon and Honey Badger.
No, she has a new name. But,
right.
But I refer to her as Honey Badger because I like that better.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is.
Gabby. I mean, that's not her code name. That's a real name. Yeah. But you know what? Let's just call her Gabby.
But you know what I mean? It's that's what we have.
Yeah, we have a bunch of...
We got some Wolverines and a Talon and Scout. That's it. Thank you. It's Scout.
Thank you.
Scout, Talon,
Wolverine, Logan, and... Anyway, so Talon's along for the ride with Sync, so they go with Cyclops. They find his dad. They're Talon's you better prep for this one because he's in a bad way, and we see him on the floor, and it's really kind of cool to see him just writhing around. They're okay, what are we gonna do? And she's I'm gonna take it out of him. So Sync and she do that together. I love that moment because Cyclops is he's in a really interesting position where typically, Cyclops is the team leader, but now he has someone on his team that's hundreds of years older than he is in a way. Right.
And so that person leaps into action to do what they're going to do. Cause I know I can do this. And it's not gonna be a problem. So Sync used Jean's powers to put him under. You help to use with your telekinetic powers to take care of organs and stuff like that. And I will do the surgery itself. And Cyclops is removed from the situation. I mean, like it is his dad, so it makes sense. Like he's going to be too
compromised.
Yes, in this situation. So he holds the brood off. He successfully removed the brood baby, and he's not stitched up or anything. So like Sync's using his abilities, his stolen abilities from Jean, in order to keep him
conscious,
like sealed up too, to keep everything closed so his organs don't fall out. So we got that going on. Meanwhile, Jean and Magic are trying to find Brew. Like, where's Brew? Where'd he go? Like, he was supposed to be in charge of all this, but
it went to hell.
So she makes a call to the other psychics to try to find out.
Let's locate him.
Like, what's up with that, right? What's going on? But while the story is running, concurrently, there's another story going on in which Forge and Monet is not on the X team right now, but they decide they're going to access a gate that should go to nowhere, but nowhere was swallowed by a black hole. So it's like, how could there possibly be a gate there?
Yeah, like the gate's still active.
Yeah, and Krakoa was established after that happened. So how do you have a gate? And he's like, well, you see, after we figured out the whole gating thing, I decided to ask Cable if he could help me with a little bit of
time travel
shenanigans so that he could put a seed there so that it would grow at the appropriate moment when Krakoa was established and like allow for
transport,
so
we can go through it,
so we can find out what's on the other side of this black hole, right? So they go and they see a whole bunch of stuff, and then when they get there, they see like a couple of bodies laying on the floor, and they turn it over, and it's like, it's Forge and Monet, and they're like, what's going on? And they're like, wait, they're not dead, they're alive. Did our consciousness like jump out of our body? And I'm like, sounds like you need a certain doctor there with you, but he is busy, and you never call him anyway. But they show us a flash page reveal that I 100% am not sure I fully comprehend at this moment, but I will. I'll get it. I'll get there at some point. But I kind of dig it. The idea that like we're doing something in space, but also like a little cosmic-y, like not just space travel or like Starjammers or whatever.
Starjammers, Shi'ar,
but like there's like
Gladiator.
something more to this. I'm like, all right, what is this? This is shenanigans. Forge is just taking advantage of being on the X-Men at this point.
Yes, why wouldn't he? He deserves it. He helped build this whole nation.
I guess. I mean, he was put on there really to keep an eye on certain things.
Yeah, and he's not.
He's clearly just
dicking around in space.
Definitely just doing that. Did you also enjoy, I don't know if you remember this, but like as Corsair's basically like, I'm dying, Scott, I'm gonna leave. He's like, but I couldn't go without apparently making one more Summers brother.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you for acknowledging how ridiculous this is.
Right? How many damn Summers there are, and how you've been peopling the galaxy with little Summers.
I can't even imagine how many Summers there are.
Out in space. Yeah. It's great. Yeah, it was a fun issue. I really enjoyed it. Art was good too.
Yeah. There's a panel in that. It's just gorgeous. It's when Jean is contacting Emma.
Yeah, all the psychics.
All the psychics. And it is just this gorgeous panel. I don't know why. It's like, it struck me. Yeah. Actually struck. It physically hit me.
It hit you.
Because we had the physical copy of it. It just punched me in the face.
That's true. Is that all you read?
That's it. I figured I think that's enough anyway.
I agree.
Because we got to get into the movie review.
Yes.
Let's do this.
Before we do,
I bought all these comics.
And I thought we'd show it off. I thought it'd be fun. We went to one of our haunts.
Yeah.
We actually went to two haunts. We went to Phantasm Comics in New Hope, Pennsylvania, great comic shop. But we also went to Comic Fortress in Somerville, New Jersey.
Yes.
And right now at Comic Fortress, they have about, 10 long boxes full of trades that are all half off.
50% off.
So these were all the trades that were available that we bought that were half off.
I like these. They're tiny, they're small, but it collects a bunch of like older Strange Tales. At least for me, there were some Hulk ones in there as well. So I got two of them. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
50% off. I picked up Giant Days, the first volume, and I enjoyed it well enough. It's slice of life.
Yeah, you promised yourself that you would get more if you liked the first one.
I liked the first one, and I did. It's slice of life. Probably skews like teen readery kind of thing, but it was cute. Like, so I was like, fine, whatever, I don't care. I won Man or Black because I thought I had it and I didn't. Literally, that is what happened. I was like,
it's down in the library. I scanned it today, so it is officially in the library.
This is volume 2. I'm gonna have to grab volume 1, but I grabbed 7 Soldiers of Victory.
Yeah, this was just neat.
Yeah, it just seemed neat, and I was like, and I literally picked this up, and when I saw who had written it, I was like, so when will Frankenstein, Agent of Shade, be showing up
in the DC cinematic universe?
Yeah,
sooner than later.
Whatever it is. And then I don't know why I was so struck by Sal heard me talk about this cover.
Yeah,
I was like, look at this cover. It's like a really violent old school romance cover kind of thing here. This is a Mike Grell Jurgens
Giordano
collaboration on an interesting time period for Ollie.
Yes,
so
I remember
I'm
this.
just gonna jump into this. This is the one I started reading.
Yeah, it's funny because like you think of Dan Jurgens as being kind of like a goody two shoes Superman artist, but like it gets raunchy, and Jurgens gets unleashed on this this series, and it's like, oh, I remember this. This coming up. So neat.
I don't know why this, like, occasionally, that's why covers are important. That's why cover art is important, because like this struck me enough to pick it up, and then I was like poking through it, and I was like, I'm interested.
Yeah,
I really like the art in this. It's solid.
Yeah,
solid art. It's that old newsprinty.
It's like a lighter
paper. I like that, and I hate it all at the same time. So those are some of the things I purchased this week.
Nice.
And
so yeah, we saw Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which of course includes the name Ant-Man in its own word.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Just a cute like little
well done.
Little neat idea.
Totally.
But yeah, so all right, so for our non-spoiler review of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, just initial thoughts before you haven't gotten to go see it. Somehow you managed to avoid spoilers, although this was not like the world's biggest movie, so it's okay to like kind of, you probably did manage to avoid some spoilers, and so we won't be the ones to contribute to that.
Right, try not to.
Yeah. This is, I believe, the debut of Phase 5 for Marvel, so
I'm glad you know that, because I didn't.
Right. Well, I think we've had enough of Phase 4, but this is, I think, setting a new tone for the expectations one should have for the next like chapter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, I think that Chapter 1 is beginning to Endgame, and Chapter 2 is Phase 4 until Secret Wars, where it's just like, this is the kind of content we're going to be getting from Marvel henceforth. They have it down to we've talked about how there's like, they've gotten it down to a science. They've executed their plan. They have their whole like system, pre-viz fight scenes already set up like before the movie's even written. We have our own like kind of outlets to make the CG work, editing up until the release of the movie, shooting without a script, all this stuff. And I think that's evident in this movie. But overall, I think that if you go in expecting to watch a movie called Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, you get what you pay for. Like, it is that. You get Ant-Man and the Wasp. Maybe not the one you were expecting, because that Wasp doesn't have much to do in this movie. But, you get the quantum, and you get the Quantumania, and you get the Ant-Man stuff.
Yes.
That's it.
I think if you are going into this thinking that you're going to get a like character-driven story,
as was kind of sold in the trailers,
or as you have like the first Ant-Man movie,
it's about Scott, it's about his like family. Like, we meet like his daughter's stepdad essentially, and like he's a character in that universe, and he has his own personality. He's a fun addition to that universe. I fully expected to see his ex-wife and Cassie's stepfather. They're not in the movie.
But like, if you're expecting that sort of character-driven plot, that's not where we're at right now in terms of the journey of Scott or this phase of Marvel kicking it off. Because really, this movie is shouldering that burden.
Yeah.
Additionally, if you like, like sci-fi stuff, like you're probably gonna have a good time with this, because I found there to be like not like it's like intense sci-fi like a John Carter, where it's like with John Carter, a lot of folks,
more like John Carter than it is like Guardians or any science fiction.
No, I guess that's
type
true.
movie.
But like John Carter for a lot of people was like off-putting. It was too much. This doesn't feel that type of like alien. When I say alien, I don't mean like space aliens. I mean like alien. In terms of like not natural or
foreign.
Yeah, foreign.
Lowercase a.
Yes, lowercase a. So I feel like if you like that, then, and you like, the cast of this movie just in general, the characters you've already met before, these other actors, you're probably going to have a fine time with this.
Yeah, I think you'll have a fine time, and there's enough in it for you to have some excitement for the next part.
Yeah. Yes. But like, just know going into this that this movie is definitely trying to set up some stuff.
Yes.
And it's not in the same way like as I have accused them of using Doctor Strange as being a vehicle.
Right.
It didn't feel like that, but the movie as a whole felt a little bit like a vehicle. Like a vehicle. It wasn't the character was, but like the movie as a whole was like, I mean, we need you to do certain things.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised by how not marginalized Scott Lang was as a character. The way we've seen Thor, Doctor Strange, like this is one of those things where I feel like the people in charge at Marvel like this character, and so they were like, hey, protect Scott at all costs, like don't screw up that character.
Yeah,
like in a way that I'm like, you care? Then why don't you care when it happens to other people?
Yeah. So that's my non-spoiler review.
Yeah.
It's Scott's on a bigger stage.
Yeah.
And I felt that in this. So I think if you liked the idea of like Scott being more like on the fringe or doing, his own thing, like Scott has now thrust a little bit larger scale. And so his movie has to do a little bit more. So take that as you will. Yeah. But a lot of the charm is still there.
Yeah. Well, and that has a lot to do with the casting.
Some of it's also missing. There's some things I that were noticeably missing for me that are like hallmarks for Ant-Man movies.
Yeah.
But like I said, this had a lot to do. But there's the cast itself, the core cast, they're good at what they do.
Yeah, yeah. And Michelle Pfeiffer's Janet Van Dyne is given significantly more to do.
Yes.
And I don't know why they waited 2 movies to do that, but here we are, and she's doing it.
Yeah,
and that's if nothing else, meta-textually, I hope that it gives Michelle Pfeiffer more to do in other movies.
Exactly. So, all right. With that said, I think we'll probably
get into spoilers.
Get into some spoiler territory. So we'll give you a hot second there as I vamp with.
Well, let me read a couple of super chats, which kind of address a little bit of Ant-Man. I didn't want to get into them before we jumped into the discussion.
That's fair.
What was it? Young Goku over 9,000. I feel dumb for not guessing the Mother Righteous reveal. That was it's a spoiler for the X-Men books. R.I.P. to Nightcrawler or Nightwalker or whatever the Spider-Man character's name was. We didn't read the book, so that was a spoiler for the series.
Thank you.
Rayfar.
You might have put that before I said I forgot.
It's true.
I didn't read that, so I'm not gonna
hold it against
nope,
him.
No,
ComicPop Woo Sunday stream. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. Thank you, Palpatine. Loved your Flash poll results, by the way. Go Wally. Take it easy, guys. We did a thing. I was like, hey, I want to like raise engagement, get people to use the channel more.
Sure.
And so on both channels, both this channel and youtube.com/ComicPop, we had 2 completely different polls, and they're just opinion comic book based.
Right.
One was on ComicPop. It was which Robin would make for the best Batman, and on this one it was what the hell did I just missed it. Who is the best Flash? And I named all the Flashes.
I like Wally.
Wally won by an overwhelming majority.
Hooray!
Cat Lawyer with the Fence Retreats. Ant-Man. Thank you very much for the ants.
Ant-Man.
I was very happy to see in one of the press tours that like they addressed the weird ants promo that he and Michael Douglas did in the first movie. Extra Day. What's your thoughts on the end credit variants? Do you think that he's MCU Scarlet Centurion or MCU Iron Lad? If he's Iron Lad, then they chose a bad design. No, I don't think there's any of that. And in fact, I believe that Feige has said he has no interest, or at least there's certainly no plan for the Young Avengers to make their debut. And I bet it's because they're just going to be Avengers. Like, I don't think we're going to get a period where it's like, look, it's Kate and Cassie and Iron Lad and Patriot and Hulkling. Like, I think those characters will show up, and I think they're going to be Avengers one day, as opposed to Young Avengers. It'll be like they'll actually get their chance to move on. And Lobie Warsaw, no spoilers, was Kang as good as the trailers made him seem? Yes.
Yeah, he's frustrating. Like, I'm not a Kang fan because time travel shenanigans. But like excellently done.
Oh yeah,
like just so well done. Like he's just frustrating, but like there's a charisma to him as well. Just yes. All
right, so here we go. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Spoiler time.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, directed by Peyton Reed, written by Jeff Loveness. No other writing credits. Just the guy who wrote the Vat of Acid episode from Rick and Morty. He's also written comic books. But Jeff Loveness wrote this, and I don't buy it one bit. Doesn't feel like it was written by one person at all. Feels like it was written by 10 people. Feels like it was written by one person, and then 20 people just dicked around with the script for like the better part of a year. The whole movie feels like there's other movies happening underneath the surface of this movie. This movie feels like they were like, we got an idea. And this trailer, all the trailers for this movie sold a different movie. They were all this very like kind of dark, it's going to be Scott versus Kang in this like, let's elevate Ant-Man. You know, he's earned it at this point. He's one of the few surviving Avengers that Sony doesn't have any control over.
Right.
So we can use him.
Right.
And I fully expected there to be this kind of very interesting sort of story, especially when it was introduced. And I want to hear your opinion on this as well. Okay. The idea that, of Kang manipulating Scott into doing something that propels the Marvel Cinematic Universe forward the same way that like Loki does in the show. It's like, don't kill He Who Remains. They do, boom, multiverse.
Right.
You know, someone's gonna have to answer for that someday. You know, don't do the spell that'll unmake your identity. Now we've got multiverse and problems like that. Like, you know, the hero makes a mistake, a tragic or epic mistake, and now has to like atone. That does not happen in this movie. Instead, Kang introduces the idea of that concept, but it never reaches its fullest potential because, like, you'd think this whole movie was building towards, like, Kang's like, I'm going to use you. You steal this thing, and I give... There's no incentive. I thought there was going to be an incentive, and I think the trailers definitely sold that, where they're like, no, you lost time with your daughter.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you that. And it was set up when we find out that Kang and Janet had, like, a history where he's like, I'm going to give you back time. Yeah. And it's like, that's his thing. That's what he does. That's his currency.
Yep.
So it's like, if you give me what I want, I will promise you basically an alternate reality where you get your time back. And I'll probably have to kill your variant self because there's a guy who wrote for Rick and Morty doing this, and I know how to deal with variants, right? But none of that happens.
It does and it doesn't. You know, like I think it's interesting because this movie was clearly setting up this Kang for something, and then they were like, no, not this
Kang. And it's like, this is the Kang. This is the one I want. And maybe we'll get him.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get a bunch of Kangs.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the post-credits.
Yeah. No, I felt like, much like the way I feel like there's a scene that's added at the end that tries to poetically rhyme with the opening of the movie.
Yes.
Like we set the tone of the opening of the movie, and that's how we close the movie, right? And I feel like there's like a monologue that's done there, and I think it's for the benefit of the audience to make sure we understand the gravity of the situation that we just went through. Because like it goes back and forth a lot, and that is what I like about this, and what also I think drives me crazy about Kang just in general is that like there's no good there.
No.
You know, like the situation is set up where it's just like, this is a Kang that got kicked out, right? Like, Kang, get out. You're not supposed to be here.
This is a jilted Kang. Yes. He's mad.
So, but like that, the other Kangs are coming and they're bad.
Right. But like this guy, but this Kang's really bad.
Right. Like,
and he's pretty formidable and scary.
So, but what I do like about that is that, like, you know, Janet is like, I saw it.
Yes.
It's bad. And so we can't let him go. We have to stop him.
Yes.
And he's like, secretly, he's like, but there's something worse than me.
Yeah. And like, but
so like, all you have to do is just let me be a monster.
Right. And I'll be a less monstrous monster than the one that you've encountered so far.
Right. So like, if that had been maybe explored a little bit more, there's something there, and maybe it will be in the future, because there's like the morality there, the questionable morality, like, you know, what's worth like getting rid of, like, the devil you don't know.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, the devil you know versus the devil you don't know.
Yeah, and that really is what this ends up being at the end of the day.
Right, but I don't think they did a very good job of like selling that concept.
No, you have to look for that.
Yeah.
You need to dig deep on that one. And again, I think that last monologue
was there for that moment.
Yeah, that voiceover that Scott does for him to be like, wait a minute. And I'm like,
oh, you tacked that right the hell on.
You're trying to make sure that we, the audience, are there with you.
Yes. And like, we were already, but like,
some of us were.
But only because we were paying attention and we know what you're building towards. But what a shame. You know, because I think you know, Kang, Jonathan Majors stole the show.
Oh my gosh.
He was an acting tour de force. He's incredible. Like, he's sympathetic, he's scary, he's intimidating, he's like, he's arrogant. Like, there was a lot there. I was disappointed, by the way, they never said Nathaniel Richards at any point in this movie. Because we can now, finally, but we don't. But he's the standout.
Yeah.
Everyone else does a nice enough job. Paul Rudd is trying, and I feel like he suffers the most from the reshoots that clearly were taking place in this movie, because like he's probably doing 3 or 4 different performances for 3 or 4 different versions of this movie.
Right.
Evangeline Lilly was moved completely to the side. You could tell she was either like removed from it, or in the script they reduced her role.
Right.
And if you're gonna do that, I guess you're kind of screwed. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because you changed the name of the franchise to include her, and now you're trying to remove her from the franchise. And it's like, what are you doing? Give her something to do that isn't just showing up when you would expect her to show up.
I think what it is that they had changed the name, right? But then they decided that this is what was going to kick off Kang. I mean, technically it isn't.
Yeah, Loki
kicked off Kang. But for anyone who is just here for the movies, this kicks off Kang.
Exactly.
Right?
No, it does. It straight up does.
So you need to come up with a reason, and they came up with a reason how this all worked out. But like that puts her on the side because she's nothing to do.
Right. Well, because like, what's her connection to Kang?
Yeah.
Like, we know what Janet Van Dyne's connection is to Kang, and Hank Pym, I don't think even meets Kang, so we don't have to worry about him.
Nope.
And Scott Lang is technically the protagonist of the story, so he'll fight Kang. But what will Hope do? We don't know. Plus, we have to worry about Cassie. And she's recast, of course, with Catherine Newton being the new Cassie from the previous actor from Endgame. I thought the Endgame actress did a great job. I don't really have anything negative to say about Catherine Newton's performance, but I don't have anything complimentary to say about her performance.
No.
Like, it wasn't like she was needed. Like, we didn't need Catherine Newton to give us something, because she was really given some kind of juicy or meaty material that they were like, we need a veteran actor who can really sell this stuff. Despite the fact that like the previous actor actually had more emotionally weighted moments in like the few seconds we saw her on screen. Yeah. Whereas anything that Cassie had to do in this movie. They also didn't want to they clearly didn't want to spend time building, so they just said stuff like, they were just like, oh, stuff happened off camera you didn't see, like she has a better relationship with her surrogate family than she does with Scott. And it's like, that's an idea that clearly was kind of being sold. And I know that when they were talking about it like a year or two ago, they were like, Scott let fame go to his head, and it really estranged him from his the people that matter to him, the things that most mattered to him in the last 2 movies. Now suddenly he's focusing on his podcast and his book deals and stuff like that. That is not the case. It's very much a similar situation to Iron Man 2. Remember, they were like, people were like, are you doing Demon in a Bottle? And they were like, let me put it this way. And I remember specifically, I think Feige said this. He's like, let me put it this way. Tony Stark is the first time you see Tony Stark, he is throwing up. Like he's vomiting into a toilet. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. They cut it from the movie.
Right.
And it straight up isn't about Demon in a Bottle, and he drinks recreationally, and it's not a problem whatsoever. I mean, it is a problem, but they don't address it as a problem.
Right.
So no, they didn't. And similarly with that, it's like, oh, we kind of get the impression that Cassie resents her father a little bit, but it's really not a problem.
Yeah, that was it felt like, so this movie was like, okay, the checklist for what they seem to be doing, which is where I think comes it feels like a lot of hands were in this. Is it's it needs to be an Ant-Man movie because it's called Ant-Man.
Yes.
I guess we need to have the Wasp in it because her name is also on there.
Right.
We all love Michael Douglas, so he better be in this.
Right. And we can do two for the both Wasps.
Right, because it's Wasp and they're both Ant-Mans. Okay, great. We need to make sure Kang is in this.
Yep. And he's built.
And he's built, and we need to understand his threat by the end of it.
Yes,
right.
100%.
We need to fully establish Cassie, who she is, what she's been doing.
Yes, and how she will one day inherit this franchise.
Right. And I guess we'll make it a father-daughter thing too.
Because
maybe
it should be, but if we have time.
Right. So at the end of the day, it's that is there just so that we can use her in the future elsewhere.
Yeah.
Just like Kang is in this.
Right.
So that we can use him elsewhere.
Exactly.
That's just what it felt like to me. I'm like, okay, because within the first 10 minutes of this movie, it's like Cassie's all about this, and this, and I'm like,
oh my God.
Okay, cool.
And that's a lot to tell, not show.
Yeah.
And they tried to show, not tell, by having her be arrested in the first like few seconds we meet her, but that's not enough. We need to see her charged and political and going to these rallies and doing these things, but the movie's got to be short too because it's an Ant-Man movie,
right?
So, and we know nobody's gonna really like stick around, so even though we're also launching phase 5 with it, and we're saying that it's Scott's turn to be elevated, so we should be able to give him like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Like, I don't remember how long the movie was. Didn't feel very long, which I guess is a compliment. But but also you could tell, and I was like, I don't know if this is actually just poor telegraphing or if like we're good at our jobs.
Okay.
When she's like, we got to do something about this, and at least I'm getting involved, and I'm like, she's gonna go to the quantum realm and get involved. Like, once we got to the camp in the quantum realm, I'm like, oh my God, here we go. And it didn't really like, and we kind of like, she had something to do mostly off camera that was like, let's help these people, but that was her arc.
It's funny too because it's like that arc is like meant to pull Scott back.
Yes, but like, from what? He didn't go anywhere. He's still a good guy.
Like, he just wanted to be a dad, and like she's mad at him about that, I guess, but not really. And like, we notice that apparently she's a thief as well, but that never comes up.
No, she doesn't thieve. She doesn't, like, maybe she was supposed to help him thieve the generator in the scene, but she's not. Actually, Wasp was the linchpin of that sequence.
Yes. I mean, I guess she wasn't a thief. I got the impression that like she stole, like, I know she shrunk the cop car, but I thought she also took it.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, that's like what he does. And I thought they were going to do like a thing where he's just like, you can't do that. Like, the science stuff, yes. The thief stuff, no.
Right. But she's like, but I'm good at it. You know what I mean?
Like,
I didn't inherit the Ant-Man thing from you. I inherited like who I am.
Yeah.
And it's like the Ant-Man stuff is just window dressing.
That's Hank Pym's.
Yeah. Which also was very much a thing. They were like, okay, so in the first movie, Scott inherits the Ant-Man mantle. He does use ants a lot in the first movie. He's Ant-Man. But by Civil War, they're like, he's Giant Man. And in this movie, they're like, he's Giant Man.
Yeah,
and Hank is Ant-Man. And he is going to be very Ant-Man in this movie.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's cool. But also, the damn thing's called Ant-Man. Like, you got to transition at some point. And they kind of were already, so he kind of backslid a little bit, which is a shame. Michael Douglas does a nice job. He actually, I think, does better in this than the last one. Like, I kind of liked him more in this.
Right.
Despite that he was kind of goofy, but otherwise that was fine.
I liked him.
Yeah, I had no problem.
I happen to like Michael Douglas. I think he's a fun actor.
I agree. Bill Murray was totally wasted. And I don't mean like on drugs. I just mean maybe he was, but like, I know that he was completely wasted on this movie. He didn't do anything.
Right.
And if you were ever going to stunt cast Bill Murray and put him in an MCU project, you wasted it.
Oh,
like,
sure.
He is Lord Krylar, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, was it funny that he like does that like creepy, like, I eat this thing and then he ate me? Sure. But thank you for wasting this actor. And that's like a classic MCU move. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, we got this person from Game of Thrones, or this person that this beloved actor. And we didn't even make them MODOK. We made them something that's a throwaway, like Glenn Close being Nova Prime. And then we'll never see her ever again. And mostly because she's like, I don't want to do it. But like, give her a reason to want to do it.
Yes.
Give him a reason to want to stick around.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'd always pitched, if you're going to use Bill Murray, you make him the puppet master. And you don't have to do the puppet master plot. He doesn't have to be the main bad guy, but like, come on. But anyway, just a disappointment.
Yep. Well, I agree.
Was it fun that he was in the movie? Didn't need to be. It could have been literally anybody. Like, whatever.
I agree.
But Michelle Pfeiffer has a lot to do, and it felt a little like stretched out, where she would, instead of lying or saying something other than what drives the plot forward, she just doesn't say anything. She's like the date that Jerry has in Seinfeld who won't try the pie.
Yes.
Like, every time they ask her a question, she's like, mm-mm, mm-mm. And it's like, just write a scene. Like,
oh yeah,
like, I've seen 1,000 scenes in 100 movies that say that have a character that has a deep dark secret that they don't want to share.
Yeah.
That her loved ones no, she has. Write a thing, like write a cool scene, you know? And maybe that's just like the problem with the Marvel Cinematic Universe at this point is like there's no more room and time for that because we're shooting like because we're basically doing like a choose your own adventure movie at this point. And like we won't even know how the movie ends until like 3 days before release.
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
should we talk about MODOK?
Yeah, I guess we should do that.
It was dumb.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it.
I have zero respect and love for MODOK. Yes. So for me, I was like, okay, this is correct.
I knew it was Darren Cross from the moment they said MODOK was in the movie.
I didn't get that. I didn't know who it was. I just knew that he was going to be in it after she brought up I was attacked by a B-man in my bedroom.
Yes.
I was like, well, he'll be in this.
Well, he'll be brought up. Because, of course, he got shrunk down into the quantum realm. Like, we could do that.
He's going to be there.
Yeah. It was, there were a few moments that were kind of funny that MODOK had. MODOK, overall, I actually didn't hate. I did hate how inconsistently bad he looked.
Yes, that's fair.
That's fair. And, like, people were complaining about it when they saw a still or a moment from the trailer.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it looked bad. And it didn't look any better.
Yeah,
and it won't.
But I enjoyed him. I enjoyed him when he was on screen. Like, I didn't have a problem.
I didn't groan. I didn't cringe. It was not a moment. Like, yeah, MODOK overall, I wasn't like, the only disappointment was, I'm like, haven't you learned by now not to do what you're doing?
Go to kill them?
Yeah.
I know.
Like, knock it off.
Well, I guess he didn't have to. He's in the quantum realm.
Right. But he died.
Who knows what they could do?
Right. You could bring him back, or maybe he's a robot, or, I mean, whatever. But, like, come on, man. Like, knock it off. Like, enough with the killing of the villains.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you're making movies. I play with that leg every time I shoot something.
Right, this leg.
We have this Rintra leg from my Sleepwalker figure. And we'll never build Rintra. But
I love playing with it.
This leg is great. His hoof is
there's all sorts of articulation.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I mean, it's just like MODOK doesn't even belong in this story, but they put him in. And it makes sense within the framework of what's going on. It's just, he looks really bad.
He did not look good.
And it looks inconsistently bad. Like, sometimes it look like they did like a stretching effect. And sometimes it look like it's just a bad CG face in a head. Like, sometimes it's consistent, but like it still looks bad. And that's the Marvel needs to fix that, where their visual effects are consistently bad. Like, they're enough. They're just it's like a band-aid where it's like, it's just enough to get us through the picture. Like, we can get through this if you just laugh enough or love the main character enough. We don't really need to stretch ourselves or try.
Right.
And that is every single project from the beginning of Phase 4 to now has had at least one very obvious, if not persistent, moment like that. And it's very on display when you're moving to the next phase. Like, Phase 5 should be like, Phase 4 was like, look, COVID, $1 trillion streaming service. Like, we're trying to catch up.
Right. We're doing something.
And look, like, we got Werewolf by Night out of it. Like, we got to try things that we would have ever done. That's them. Like, I'm talking as them. But when we get to the back to the movies, then we're gonna like ratchet it up. We're gonna Winter Soldier this. We're gonna Civil War this. Like, all the Captain America movies are consistently amazing.
Right.
We're gonna Iron Man 3 this. A movie that I get more reverence for as we delve deeper into the future of the MCU.
I haven't seen that movie in forever.
TikTok likes to show me I've practically seen the movie already from every other scene that's being blasted.
Right.
But yeah, that was, MODOK. MODOK was never going to be cool, but hey, listen, like Zola, they made Zola a screen on a face on a screen. When they modernized the idea. I don't know if anybody's going to be okay with the idea of Zola being like a guy with a face on a tummy going like, hey, I never liked that as a kid. I'm not clamoring for it now. And I'm also in a timeline where here's MODOK on screen and he looks like MODOK.
It was funny because it's like, with the MODOK face though, there's so many other things that looked pretty great.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you didn't get
this character, Yeah, like the goopy guy, he was fun and he looked good.
Yeah.
The sentient rocket ship characters. You pointed out a thing. That was genuinely funny.
Okay, so like we were in the theater. There was like we saw it on Thursday, and there was like no one in the theater. We were in a very small one though, so I'm guessing
we did, and we didn't hurt the movie at all.
No, but I think people chose to see it in the larger one, so we lucked out, and there was maybe 5 other people in the theater with us, and like it's at that kind of denouement kind of moment, or I don't think that's the right word, but whatever.
No, but it was a lull.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a lull. It's like, oh my gosh, the heroes are failing.
Oh yeah, no.
And everyone's trying to flee. Kang is clearly going to win here. And those sentient like building ship things that they had. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I laughed aloud during this very quiet moment in the theater. And I was like, I better keep together here because one of them like falls and the other one's like cradling them, like like
like
trying,
the Ewoks.
Yeah, like just trying to be like, it's going to be okay. And I'm like, what is happening right now? This is some saga stuff.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I actually didn't even mind the living rocket ships. Like the quantum realm itself was trying to be a character, but without any actual like rules or structure.
Yeah, it was like Nowhere and Tron and the Cantina.
Yeah, like they wanted you to think all these things, and like the leader of the resistance. I think that was Katie M. O'Brien. I don't know. Gentora. I don't remember if that was Gentora or not. I think it was. I couldn't care less. Not that she did a bad job, but like they didn't do anything. They were just like, "Here's the resistance." Oh no!
They were there.
You were more sad losing the cannon head guy, than cheering for her freeing herself from her cage.
I don't know why I liked his design so much.
Yeah,
but I did.
Yeah,
like that got me
right.
They were there clearly to. It's like a different movie.
Yeah.
Like that was like a movie in which like Scott has like shied away from being a hero.
Yes.
He just wants to be a celebrity.
Right.
And he's just like, trying to raise he's like, I'm just trying to be
I just want to get back. Like I'm retired from the superhero business.
Or like I'm trying to be a dad,
world.
but like I'm not really being a dad. I'm really just enjoying
being a
celebrity because like finally like with all the other heroes kind of out of the way, like people are paying attention to me and I really like that. Like I'm succeeding. And then in this other film, his daughter like steps up and he's like, that's what I should have been doing.
Like, that's what my daughter needed.
Yeah, I shouldn't worry about what other people think of me. It's just what you think of me.
Boom. That's
not what we got. We got part of that.
Yeah. Really quick. Cam says they were clearly building Young Avengers and other projects. What a mistake to not have that lead into Kang whatsoever. Yeah, not a lot of things are leading into anything, I gotta tell you. Young Goku 9000. Not like this matters, but with Kang's actor being black and the whole comic thing with Kang being a descendant of Reed and of Reed, Dr. Doom, just got me thinking, what if Reed or Doom is black? Kind of cool. Definitely they've been talking about that big time. Dante Cook. Sal, your interview with Patton Oswalt was amazing.
Yes,
I love him as a comedian, actor, voice actor, and now as a comic writer. Wow, this channel has grown so much to score such a chance. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you very much, Dante Cook. Yeah, Patton was on the show with Jordan Bloom, and we had a chance to talk about their book and talk about comic books in general. It was a really fun time. If you haven't already seen it, check it out. Danby 900. The ending was reshot 6 weeks ago with set pieces. The OG ending was test screened 4 months ago where my friends saw it. Kang escaped. Hope and Scott were trapped in the quantum realm. It was more somber. I mean, like Link. But also, I mean, you could tell that like the ending was definitely reshot. Because it was just from the faces and the display, like that's how they set it up. Like they were going to, like the ending was clearly like they defeat Kang. He's either sent away or whatever. Like, because I think that this was the Kang that we were going to be dealing with throughout the rest of the MCU.
I agree.
And he still might, but like probably not. Like they get rid of him in a kind of nebulous, Yellow Jacketian kind of way.
Sure.
And then like they sacrifice that and Wasp goes back to save Scott and the two of them team up like they should in the movie. And then they're trapped and Cassie's like doing the beacon thing like she was doing before. So it's like, okay, cool. They're going to like be in the quantum realm. Cassie's going to look for them. That'll be the arc.
Yep.
And like maybe in Kang Dynasty or maybe in Secret Wars, Scott and Hope will be freed. But that'll be Cassie's role.
Exactly.
Cassie will be the hero, has to step up.
And Cassie will have to, like, she'll be able to learn, instead of learning from her dad, she'll learn from Hank. And so she'll become more of an Ant-Man.
Exactly. Or maybe she'll like take after Scott and be more like Stature, which is what her character was.
I know that's who her character was, but we didn't really get a secondary Ant-Man, so I could see them being like, and she will also use ants.
Right. Yeah, that'll be fine. But yeah, there were clear reshoots going on. Danville 900 in the OG cut, it was 10 minutes longer. Janet called Kang. Nathaniel Hope says that she came back for Scott at the end since the other possibilities she saw didn't have him. I'm baffled at the late reshoots. I mean, maybe they were really bad test screenings. Maybe people didn't understand
what they were planning
what the hell
doing.
Maybe,
or maybe plans have changed.
Yeah, maybe they or what's the worst of it is because they like shoot the movie open-ended. It could be that they just don't know what their plan is and they want to leave everything open-ended even when their movie's done.
Right.
Jose Rivera, my MCU issues these days is I don't feel like I'm watching stories anymore. I'm just paying to see 2-hour setups for other things down the line. People seem to like that though.
Yeah, but that is a problem. Like the reason like Endgame and Infinity War felt so. Is Infinity War?
Yeah, okay, Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, did I say that right? Yeah. Okay. Felt so special was that it took movies that kind of never were certain that they were ever going to come together.
Right.
Like even in like the first Avengers movie that they made, like you were like, oh my God, they're actually pulling them together. They're actually doing it.
Yeah.
But those movies were like, I'm doing this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm making Avengers.
I'm telling, like I'm doing Iron Man movies. And if he happens to do something else, fine.
Right.
But I'm doing Iron Man movies.
Right.
I'm doing Thor movies. Like we're telling Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
These now start starting to feel like I'm telling
the Marvel story.
A Marvel story.
Yeah.
Instead, which, let's see where that goes.
Yeah. And you've done that with like Moon Knight and other like She-Hulk. They're not connected. They don't feel connected. And yet they are also intrinsically connected and also they're bad. So I don't know what's going on. Mordecai, one problem, some parts that felt should have been emotional were mixed with comedic, but not in a good way. I mean, that's been a criticism of Marvel forever. I don't know. That's another thing I noticed more than I noticed them just cutting and making something else.
I felt as though part of them had wanted to make this episode a little darker, or this
but it does feel like an episode.
This movie a little bit darker, and maybe they were like, but that's not what people are here to see for an Ant-Man movie. But I'm like, but you're not really making an Ant-Man movie,
right? Well, and but it could be a really cool Ant-Man movie if you chose to do that.
Yeah.
No, there's a big moth in my studio.
That is not a moth.
What is it?
I don't know, but I hate it.
Me too.
Oh, I don't like it.
Oh,
where'd it go?
Oh, it's a stink bug. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Danville 900.
That's worse.
Cassie calling Hank grandpa when they had no time to bond since he was dusted took me out of it. He wasn't playing Hank from 2 films. Remember Janet, Quantum Powers, and before the writers didn't. I mean, one writer, and I don't know what Loveness was doing, but this, I was really hyped to see his name on this because I know he does comics. I know he does, Rick and Morty, and like I've loved his writing since then. It's just this did not feel like that.
Yeah.
And it's because I think of just so much interference.
Sure.
Valentino G. I liked Hank and Janet in this. It made me want a prequel series of the Adventures of Ant-Man and the Wasp during the Cold War. Yeah, I think a lot of people wanted that since we saw them in like the flashback.
I gotta tell you, like, and I don't know if it's just that they know each other, but that they have good chemistry. They have good on-screen chemistry. Like together.
They do. Well, they're also just great actors.
That helps.
Yes, it does. Dan V900. After the epic speech by Andy Serkis and Andor rallying the inmates, somebody needed to go, hey, Cassie's speech wasn't up to par. Let's change it. I didn't see Andor, so I have no idea what you're talking about. Mo says, hey, Comic Pop, any plans to come to Chicago Comic and Entertainment in late March 31st to the 2nd? No. C2E2's never invited me except one time when we applied to do a panel at New York Comic Con, and they were like, how about Chicago instead? And I'm like, so instead of taking a bridge and tunnel trip, I could take a plane trip. And instead of going home, I can take a hotel. So you can increase my trip by $2,000. Like, no, thank you. But if they want to send me, I'd be happy to go, but I can't afford to go right now. But yeah, I've been meaning to go and I'd love to go to Chicago.
I've never been.
No, me either. That's the thing. I think I've landed in Chicago. I've had a layover in Chicago, but I've never actually been.
It's stressing me out.
Juwan Fincher, with the adventure being his daughter's fault, I thought they would have Scott die defending Kang. I'm glad that he didn't. I don't want that from my. I mean, like, I'll take darkness, but I don't need like.
I wasn't sure who. Like, I wasn't sure if anybody was going down.
Yeah, I
there
thought
was too many people there.
There were a lot of people. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Post-credit scenes. The middle one is the only one that actually was shot. The second one is a scene from an upcoming project.
Yes.
the very end, the end of the movie trailer or post-credit scene was just a scene from Loki season 2.
Yes.
That reminded me, I was like, I like this. And Loki season 2 looked like it was filmed with cameras. So that actually that really appealed to me. I was like, oh, this looks good. Don't put better looking movies in your movie because it just deflates the main movie. But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, a movie or a show I was like, I think I got enough from Loki. But I'm okay with this.
Yeah, no, I am too. I honestly don't remember the mid-credit.
The mid-credit scene was, here are some more Kangs. Look, it's Rama-Tut.
Right. For some reason, I thought that was the end of the movie, but I realized it's not.
Yeah, no, there was a mid-credit scene. The mid-credit scene
is what my brain told me the end of the movie was.
Yeah, and it's just the Council of Kangs, but it's like a weird, it's like a gladiatorial arena of Kangs, and I'm like, it's a lot of Kangs. Like, that went from me being kind of excited to see the Council of Kangs being 11 people to being like, oh, it's millions of Kangs. Like, I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Like, it was so baffling because it was just like, look, more Kangs, and I'm like, yeah, I know, I got it. Like, I've met 2, when you kill both of them.
But you're looking at it with your comic book goggles on.
I mean, but we've already sold us on the fact that they talked about how there's multiple Kangs. I'm like, I get it, but to say there's a billion Kangs, I'm like, I mean, okay, but but to what end? Like, what's the story there? What's the point of that? That was all. I was like, that was not an exciting mid-credit scene, especially because I already liked this Kang. I was like, this is Kang.
Yes,
he was great, and then they killed him, and I'm like,
well, they said they did. We'll see.
I mean, hopefully they don't. I mean, because
they could be
I
wrong.
like there being a Kang with some history that's like, hey, and I'm gonna kill all of you, but I especially gonna kill that Ant-Man kid.
He could be in the sub-quantum realm.
It's fine with me. Whatever they want to do with it. But as long as they bring that one back, or they bring back one that's exactly like it, but who didn't die. I don't know. It's just like, meh.
I didn't not like this movie.
Yeah.
I liked this movie more than I liked Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
But what I was missing from this movie was the charm of the other Ant-Man movies. Like there is a certain level.
There's a feel to those movies.
There's a feel, and this movie didn't have that feel at all.
No.
Which I think might just be something that we have to get used to. With Guardians, obviously all 3 of these movies, hopefully they'll have the same feel, but they're all the same guy. They're all the same driving force behind it. Right.
Guardians 3 will feel like a sequel to 2, even though they appeared in 2 other movies.
Right. But this Ant-Man movie, as much as Ant-Man 2 is often forgotten, and I don't know if everyone loves it, but it did feel like a sequel to the first movie.
Yeah.
But this didn't. This felt like a sequel.
Well, and I have my complaints about 2.
Yes, I know.
But it's certainly, it's more cohesive than 3.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, it still felt like it came from the same place that the first movie came from.
Yes.
This just happened to have a lot of the same characters.
Yes.
But like I said, it's missing that personality that the Ant-Man films have.
I agree. Yeah. Which is hard to believe. It's funny to say, but yeah, that's where we are.
Yeah. And it just, I don't know.
Yeah, no Lewis or ex-con friends.
Yes.
What the crap?
No
are you
Lewis,
doing?
I was surprised at.
I was blown away.
And I not that I'm saying he's the heart of it, but he represents
the grounding
that type
of
humor, or just it is a little bit of the heart,
right,
of the movie. Or Scott's connection to not just superheroes,
yes,
or super people. Scientists. Scott's a guy of the people.
Yeah, well, they kind of. I mean, we got that in that little montage at the beginning, but it was But what's his world? Does he not hang out with Lewis anymore? Are they not is he too good for them?
Yeah, and
that would have been a great scene to see.
Yeah, or or Cassie's you never call Lewis anymore.
Right, and he's like, oh yeah, well that's because I'm an Avenger now. I've got
Avenger friends.
I've got Avenger friends now, and it's what?
Yeah, it's yeah, but who was there with you in the van?
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't Captain America.
Right. Whose van is it?
Yeah.
Harishi Venkatesh, 0 out of 10, no Miss Minutes. Well, I feel like you're gonna get her. I feel like Miss Minutes will return. Miss Minutes will return.
But they did have some fun references in the movie. Hank drops Linda.
Yeah.
As a one-off.
Right. It was oh, that's neat.
What?
That'll never come up again. Yeah. There were Easter eggs and references and stuff like that, but not like Guardians 2. Had a lot of cosmic, weird, fun references. The quantum realm, it was just made up nonsense. It's kind of hard to do that
because it's in the quantum realm.
Yeah, but MODOK is there, so you could literally do anything. But yeah. So At the end of the day, I think it's worth seeing. I think if you're decided to wait until streaming, you are not hurting yourself at all. If you wanted to wait until streaming, it'll be out in like 2 or 3 months.
Sure.
You can definitely do that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of like big bombastic moments and scenes, which, a big screen helps. And if you like that kind of thing, like when you go to the movies, if you like the screen to like show you like
how big things are,
then it does have those moments. So maybe that's something you want to consider. But like, just go into it knowing it's not going to be like Ant-Man 1.
No, it is not an Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
It is and it isn't. Like it
there are ants. Those ants do go to the quantum realm.
And they're important.
And they are important and they're fun.
Yeah, and I like that a lot. It was a good moment.
And I got to tell you,
paid off. We didn't need shots that showed you that. Like we could have just trusted us, but okay. Fine.
But like Michael Douglas, in like his little duster, I was like, that's fun. Look
looks
at
cool.
him.
Yeah, exactly. No. Avery Sanchez, hey Sal and Tiffany, do you think Kangs are responsible for why the X-Men Fantastic Four don't exist with the rest of the MCU cast? I'd be okay with that explanation. Like maybe Kang omitted the mutants.
I wonder if they're going to say that they severed a thing.
Right, exactly.
And then they'll be able to remake that branch or
after
something.
They beat him in Kang Dynasty.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to see. I'd be okay with that. It's better than there being a portal in the Fox X-Men walkthrough or energy from something else, like makes mutants now. I don't want new mutants. I want the mutants to have always existed.
The mutants are the ones that are going to be the toughest. Are the toughest. The Fantastic Four, you just say
they're from the 60s.
Yeah, I'm telling you. That's the beacon.
Exactly. That's the beacon from Shang-Chi.
That's the beacon from Shang-Chi. That's what they're reading.
Yeah, is the negative zone.
It's the negative zone, and it's them trying to reach anybody.
Yeah. Bri Lewis 97 can't stick around for the spoilers, but I can't miss an opportunity to show ComicPop some love. Well, thank you very much, Bri.
Well, thank you.
Hope you had fun with Ant-Man. We did have fun. I mean, genuinely, I think we had fun. I didn't like laugh all day like an idiot, but I did enjoy. I did laugh. I enjoyed what I liked. Or I liked what I saw, but I'm not blind to what doesn't work.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some books that are coming out this week.
Let's do it.
And we think you should check out.
Absolutely.
Right. Nightwing number 101 from Tom Taylor and C.S. Pacat and Eduardo Pensica. Nightwing number 101 from Tom Taylor is coming out, and I can't wait for more of this. Batman Superman World's Finest number 12 is a great series. Mark Waid, you got to read this series. It's a great book. She-Hulk number 10, I forgot this book exists. I'm going to read it. Rainbow Rowell. Josh Williamson's Superman number 1. I've read this. It's great. Pick it up. It's a really good series. We'll talk more about it in depth. If you want to hear more about this, maybe Tuesday, there'll be a chat with me and Josh from our new show, All Stars. Check it out. But we'll talk about that as the book has been released on Tuesday.
Yes.
Deceased War of the Undead Gods number 6. I think this is the end of the series and the Deceased brand.
It says 6 of 8.
Oh, you're right. There was 8. Might be. All right, 6. Great.
You got 2 more, man.
Yeah. Well, it was. I was tripped up by Dark Ages. But no, War of the Undead Gods. I love this series. Tom Taylor, Trevor Hairsine. It's a great book. You should got to read this. Batman One Bad Day, Clayface. This is, of course, written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly with art by Zermanico. I have read this as well. Pick it up. It's so good looking and really interesting. It's a good use of Clayface in the modern era.
Okay.
Tiffany, what do you recommend this week?
I'm going to give a shout out, of course, to Saga number 62.
Gorgeous cover.
I can't get over this cover. It is stunning. That's Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples on that. If you didn't know for some reason who that team is, Immortal X-Men number 1.
Yep.
Forgive me. I don't know how this works. I don't know how anything works. Perfect. Thank you. That's the Kieran Gillen book with art by Paco Medina.
Yep.
I'm going to be there for that. We'll also talk about Nightcrawlers next week.
Yes.
So we'll do both.
We'll
do double duty on that because why not? I'm not necessarily reading this series, but I do like to remind you guys, those of you who are Sabretooth and the Exiles fans, number 4 is coming out. So I just like to...
Where'd it go?
It's up there.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. Strange Academy Finals number 4 is coming out. So if you're a Strange Academy fan, another issue's coming out. Hooray. Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise number 4.
Yay.
I can't wait to this book is crazy. I can't wait to read this as a trade.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be freaking amazing. What? No. Betsy Braddock Captain Britain number 1. I'm going to check this out.
I've heard good things.
I'm here for it. There's just something about this world I like going back to. That's Teenie Howard on this one. Nice to have her.
Yeah.
Back in this world
Vasco
again.
Georgiev. I haven't seen that name in a while.
I don't know them.
Oh.
Do I?
I feel like you do.
Really?
I don't know. I know.
Oh, okay. Well, good for you then. Glad you do. Gargoyles #3, a series that I really like, and I think 2 other people like it as well. Greg Weisman on this one, George Kambadias on art. I just like that book. I don't know if you're gonna read it or not.
Gargoyles.
I'm gonna just always mention Gargoyles whenever I can because you're here for the show.
Yes.
You're gonna have to listen to a few moments of me talking about Gargoyles because why not? If you're a Witcher fan, there's a Witcher series. Occasionally they just do Witcher comics, and like a lot of them are based off of the books. You can grab that as well. It's issue 3, but I just wanted to mention that because we had someone ask about other franchise books. So I was like, you know what? Let me mention that. I'm not reading it right now, but I tend to grab those in trade.
True.
Not really helping the series then on my part. Oops. And there's also a whole lot of other indie books coming out this week. I might grab 1 or 2 here or there. We'll see, but that's all I got.
Yeah.
I was just looking to see what this was. Oh, it's a James Tynion book.
Oh, no. You're picking up Blue Book.
There's a James Tynion book coming out. I just saw the cover and I had to know what it was. Blue Book #1 by Dark Horse, from Dark Horse is coming out. Written by James Tynion IV with art by Michael
Omig. Oh, my God.
So if you like Something Is Killing the Children, you might want to check this out. This is about UFO abductions. It looks like it is a... Oh... What? So again, if you like Something Is Killing the Children, you like Nice House on the Lake, you like The Department of Truth, or you like Powers, this is a non-fiction comic book experience depicting true stories of UFO abductions. I'm going to put true in quotes, with an eye to capturing the strange essence of these encounters. So that's interesting. I'm definitely going to check out the first one here.
Totally. At least the first one.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that comes out on Wednesday. We want to thank you so much for hanging out with us, and thanks for indulging us and talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, as well as this past week's comic book releases. We'll see you guys next time. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Click the like button. Click the bell for notifications. Subscribe to youtube.com/ComicPop. youtube.com/ComicPop Plays. Follow Tiffany on twitch.tv/ComicPop as well.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys next week with an all-new episode of Off the Rack. Stay tuned on Wednesday for a ridiculous episode of Back Issues. You are not prepared for it.
You're not.
Whatever it is, you have no idea. You won't. Yeah. You
won't believe.
You won't believe.
Yeah, we're gonna deal with the bug now.
That's true.
It's gonna be awesome.
We gotta go kill some bugs. So I gotta call the Starship Troopers to take care of that.
Just end the show.
All right. So long, everybody.
Bye.